good. Uh, I can tell you guys, man, I'm starting a new book, and this book is way out there, and it covers a whole array of subjects. The book title is "CROOKWITHOUTACRIME Talks to AI," and it's called "Crook Without a Crime: Having a Conversation with AI." So, and I paired different AI models against each other, from Gemini to ChatGPT to the X model, and paired a few of them together. Even some new ones that's just popping up. Some of these, and I only did the ones with the added voice command feature, because that way you can set one to have a conversation with the other, and they will interact, and I'll just feed them prompts every now and then to boost the informational footage. Because what happens is with AI, you have to trap it. AI is not a learning device. No, 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 no. If you don't know what you're talking about, AI is going to feed you the most standard, blankest information. If you ask a medical question, it's probably going to give you the most extreme, diagnosis that it can, until you have to prompt it. It's a certain way you have to talk to AI to get it trapped, so it has to answer your questions. You know what I mean? So it's what it is. I had to trap AI so much yesterday. I said something that was profound. I said, given the history and given the, first I said, well, what would happen if, as an AI, what would happen if all the inventions and all the improvements, inventions, and what we improve, everything that the African American, I didn't say African, I said African American, all right, traditional African American on top of that. What happens if we were to take away all the inventions? This is what I ask AI. We take away all the inventions, everything that we invented, everything we improved while we was inventing. What would happen to the world? AI honestly said the world would collapse as we know it. You mean from the inventions of all African Americans, if we wish to remove it? He said, yes, the world would collapse. He said, basically, right now, look at all this stuff, man. We talking about stoplights and, improvement on automobile technology with your phone, elevators, refrigerators, air conditioning. He said, if all the inventions, heart operations, blood transfusions, he said, if all the inventions of African Americans were somewhat removed because of our stupid racism, the world would collapse. The world would stop. It would collapse. The anarchy in the streets. And you can ask AI this. I asked him a simple question. I say, well, what would the world be like without none of the inventions of African Americans? What would the world be like? Not just the United States. I said the world. He said the whole world would collapse. You wouldn't have trains, planes, or boats. You wouldn't have air conditioning. You wouldn't have elevators, stoplights. I mean, it's a whole array of things that either we invented or, like right now, we had to tell them. I said, I don't know why they still keep giving Thomas Edison credit for inventing the light bulb. Thomas Edison did not invent the light bulb. All right, you need to look at a guy by the name of Lewis Lattimore. He was a black guy, and he's the one that invented the carbon filament for that particular light bulb so it could keep lighting. Yeah, Edison wasn't nothing but a hack. Okay, so, but it's in the history books, So,
I think they
then,
hide it.
yeah. So. Then I asked AI another profound question. I said, well, given, all the things that have happened to African Americans in America, what would you do if you were black right now in America? And then, like I told you, you still have to keep trapping your AI, and it'll give you the standard I would pool our resources. And I said, hey, he gave me the standard: pool the resources, start learning more technology, and start depending upon and create your own economical engine within the system. And I said, no, you can't do that. We tried that. We tried that with Black Wall Street. We tried that with Rosewood. And you see what happens is when the system don't like you succeeding, they'll come take it or make up a new law to house you. Then we going back and forth. And this conversation all stimulated from when I was talking to one of my partners in America, and he told me, he said, Mark, they don't sell Newport cigarettes no more in California. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but I'm just saying it's a thing because basically, mostly African Americans smoke menthol cigarettes. So I was saying to the family, I said, did they ban all cigarettes? They said, no, you can still buy Marlboros, the regular tobacco, but they call it, it's a Philip Morris, but they called it, a flavored cigarette, and they banned all flavored cigarettes. So, Cool, Salem, Benson and Hedges, those kind of cigarettes were banned. And I said, well, that's all mostly African American. So I said, oh, this is another National Negro Roundup. So now, since, the drug use has declined, so now we have to find another alternative to arrest you because every brother in the enterprise, they're going to find a way to get cartons of those illegal cigarettes over in there, and then they will be selling them at an exorbitant rate, which will cause an event to get them arrested, get them housed, and get that free slavery going on. So it was amazing. So that's how the conversation got started. So then I ended up asking, I said, well, if you as a black person, given the fact of all of these hiccups and past histories and how they do things, I even told them about how they try to, I was talking to AI and I said, look, this is that, and how they try to weaponize our culture, right? And he said, and I told him about how my father, right, as growing up, and all fathers mostly said this, boy, I'm gonna kill you. Boy, you do that shit again, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna whoop your ass, I'm gonna kill you. All right, that's how that was it. But you actually knew that he didn't really mean that in that sense of the tone. Now they had invented a law that specifically addressed how I was raised, and how discipline was carried out, and that law was called terrorist threats. That's right. Terrorist threats. You can get 11 years for terrorist threats. If I were to tell my son right now, boy, if you do that shit again, I kill you. That's against the law. That's terrorist threats. See, so they'll culturally use what you've been taught and demonize it and make it illegal. Like you could say back in the Jim Crow South when they were giving people 12 years for vagrancy, knowing that once they incarcerate you, they take away your rights. They take away your rights to vote. They take away your right to carry a firearm. You are no longer considered a citizen. So therefore, you are someone's property, be it the state. It doesn't make any difference. Now, I have realized that my whole life. That's why the transition over here to Thailand was so easy for me because I've always been a guest in my country. I've always been a guest. I've never had no rights in the United States. You know, yeah, you got a right to remain silent. So being over here was a easier transition because I was always a guest in another country. But now when I see these expats that go around here, they're complaining about they're double pricing us, and I have no say so, and I can't own any land, and they retired here, but they're acting like they should have some kind of rights, because that's what the entitlement comes from when you're dealing with white people. And for me, I've always, even in the home country in which I was born in, I've always felt like a guest. You know, no rights. You don't have a right to shit. You know, so here, so it made this transition a lot, and I'm talking about a lot better. So, a lot easier for me because you know I know I'm a guest. You know, that's the thing about it. See, when you come from a sense of white privilege, you don't think that you're a guest. You think you have the right to be anywhere you pretty much privilege. You don't. And see, and the Thai people are such beautiful people because they tolerate these entitled white boys. You know what I mean? And for me, you know, I've always operated as if I was a guest. So the transitions from being a black American to being over here in Thailand was very smooth for me. You know, and that's just the way it is. So the transition for us would be a lot easier. And that's how that conversation with AI had developed. So let me tell you what its conclusion was. I said, given the fact that no matter how much we succeed, because I had pointed out, there was a video about an 80-year-old general surgeon who had retired over here in Chiang Mai. He was a black guy. And he came from Phi Beta Kappas. And, you know, if you ought to see that interview, I put it on my Facebook. That interview was fantastic. But you would hear the way the guy talked at 80 and he remind you of someone's grandfather. But anyway, and he's living in Chiang Mai now. But what AI has said when I asked him specifically, I said, well, if you are a black guy, if you're a black person, if you're a black American living in America, what would you do? All right, and don't give me the long version about the economical structures and all of this. And even after, you know, and even if you try to build up wealth within that country, you know, you still got the Black Wall Street and the Rosewood, how they will destroy you no matter how much money you have. What would you do? And the AI just came out and said, he said, you need to leave America. We got it all. Wrote down a thing. He said, you need to leave America. That's it. That's what AI said. You know, he said, black people in America need to leave America. So, it is what it is.
That's all for today, guys. Today's vlog.